It looks like you dipped your face in the cheese dip back in 1957. Here's your look at the new NECA toys They Live Retro Cloth John Nada. They influence our decisions without us knowing it. They numb our senses without us feeling it. They control our lives without us realizing it. They live. A rugged loner stumbles upon a terrifying discovery. Ghoulish creatures are masquerading as humans while they lull the public into submission through subliminal advertising messages. Only specially made glasses make the deadly truth visible. And unfortunately, I'm all out of bubble gum. With that being said, let's get a closer look at John Nada. And before we get a closer look at the figure, let's first figure out how tall he actually stands. I'm going to take the tape measure right to the very top of his head. Stop it right there. According to the readout, Nada stands 7.9 inches in height. We can switch that to centimeters, revealing that John Nada is 20.1 centimeters tall. Thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys that provided a sample of John Nada that we could have a look at in this review. Fans of the classic John Carpenter film They Live, I'm sure will be anxious to pick this one up and add it to their collection. With that being said, let's have a look at the accessories he comes included with. He comes included with 2 firearms and a swappable head. Starting first, it comes included with the Desert Eagle, which I think he actually uses at the Cable 54 building. It's been very nicely painted, as you can see. More of a dark gunmetal gray, I would say, with a dark black handle. See, it's the same on both sides. And I will say that there is some difficulty getting both the firearms in his hands. Primarily, the issue seems to be the fact that they used a really dense, hard plastic for both the hands. So much so it was really difficult to actually get the hands to actually hold the guns. And resulting in that, as you can see, there's a little bit of paint that's flaked off on the inside. I would advise, if you are picking this figure up for yourself, to submerge the hands in hotter water. Just enough to soften the plastic so that they're going to be a little bit easier to open up. Even after taking a hot water bath, not myself, John Nada's hands, I found it was still difficult to actually get the hands to hold the guns. So for example, if we're going to take the Desert Eagle, you really do have to pry the fingers away from the palm, more than I'm feeling comfortable with. You can go ahead and fit the pistol into his hand. Again, the downside to doing this, though, is every single time I'm doing it, I feel like I'm chipping away that paint that's applied to the actual hands. That being said, we'll move this out. Just take this out of his hands. The more stubborn thing to get into his hands is actually his shotgun, which I'm sure is going to be the thing that most people are probably going to decide to display him with. Made famous, I'm sure, by the scene that you guys probably going to thought I was going to say at the beginning of this review. He comes included with his Ithaca 37 shotgun. Very nicely painted, I must say. You can see the actual even handle portion, the buck, I suppose, of the gun. You can see it's been painted nicely with a nice dry brushing of a darker paint. There's actually even a little bit of texturing on the very end of that. Really some stunning looking work. Again, going back to the basics of using like a gunmetal gray, it works quite well for the shotgun. But again, the big problem is he has some real difficulty actually holding it. The shotgun especially. Again, I had to heat the hand up. I'm even going to have to probably do this again. Heat the hand up in hot water just to soften up the plastic. I'm actually really surprised that they had to use such a hard plastic for these hands, because generally it's never the case with NECA toys. Usually with these retro cloth figures, I have no problem whatsoever generally getting the hands to hold accessories. And yet, unfortunately, John Nada was the opposite of that, because they used the really, like I said, dense plastic. May I just stress this to you guys, if you are looking to pick this one up for yourself, do yourself the service of just submerging these hands in hot water, just to pry those hands away so you can actually be able to fit the shotgun properly in his hand. And even then, I don't really even quite have it the way I want it. I need to really bring this down a little bit closer so he actually can fit his, there we go, get his trigger finger actually around the trigger. There we go. Rest assured, I'm sure once this review has finished recording and we're packing up shop for the day, I'm probably just going to ultimately display him with the shotgun, and I'm never going to move it, just because it's just a lot of issues to take the hands, to remove those guns, and then to put them back in the hands. But I just wanted to show you guys for this review. With that being said, let's go ahead and remove the shotgun. Put this to the side. Be careful of any more chipping of paint. See what I mean? Like, there's a whole lot of paint that unfortunately has come loose just by me trying my best to get the guns to properly hold into his hand. That's a shame. Anyways, the other accessory to come included with Nada, let's just get him the stand right here. is he also comes included with an alternate head sculpt. Now, I will say, as a fan of the original WWF days of wrestling, that's a bang-on likeness of Roddy Piper. Really, really nice job done on NECA's part. You can almost even see like there's a few little imperfections to the skin of Roddy's face. Of course, he's got the longer hair going on in the movie here. Very nicely painted as well. I don't know which head I would likely display him with, because I tend to think not as having the glasses on his face, but I do appreciate the fact that we do get ourselves an alternate option available by NECA. If you do want to swap it out, you can certainly do that, and I'll do that in a second. One last time, just looking at that face. Fantastic. Put that down for a second. I want to pick up the figure and I want to show you guys the defaulted head sculpt that he comes included with. Of course, him with his now glasses in check, you can definitely see what's going on behind the scenes, those hidden messages that the rest of us aren't actually seeing. If you are curious, can you actually lift the glasses up? You can, just very carefully. They're actually just pegged into place on both sides. You can see the little holes on either side of his hair, and the glasses literally just sit into that. So what you can actually do is you can kind of make it look like he's actually lifting the glasses up. Although he doesn't quite have the necessary bends in his elbow to pull that off. If he had just one little bit of extra bend, a little bit of extra clearance, you could actually have had him lifting up the sunglasses with himself, with his actual hands, and actually make it look like he's lifting the glasses up, lowering the glasses down. Of course, you probably aren't going to want to remove the glasses in their entirety, simply just because you're going to see holes on either side. And of course, you've already got yourself an unglasses head sculpt to come include with the figure as well. Doesn't look like there's much that does change from one to the other. Although I will say the paint's a lot nicer here on the alternate head sculpt, at least the area around the eyes. But I do credit at least NECA Toys for painting the areas underneath the glasses. If you are like myself, Curious George, after all, decides to lift the glasses up to see what it actually looks like underneath the hood. Now, if you do want to swap the head sculpt off, just bring the arm down here for a second. I'm going to go ahead and just wiggle this off. Careful, though, of the glasses. You're going to pop that off like that, and you're going to replace it with the alternate head sculpt. Now, the thing about it, though, is generally a lot of these retro cloth figures use larger ball socket pegs. Because of that, you're going to have to apply a lot more pressure to actually get the head sculpt rooted onto the neck. And that's what it looks like. Again, if you missed the other one, it wasn't gone for very long, but there's the other one right there. So you guys can see the difference between the two. Very good paint on both of these. Speaking of paint, though, I mean, when you are moving the head up, yes, you will notice slightly that the coloring of the plastic for the body doesn't quite gel with the coloring that they painted, of course, in the face, but it's close enough that it doesn't bother me too much. As for the rest of his outfit, of course, he's wearing his plaid shirt, nicely tucked in. If you're still going to be battling people that are masquerading as humans, you could still do the service of tucking your shirt in. I'm glad to see he actually has that. He also has a fed-through belt, which almost has like a full leather material. And of course, he's got his bandolier that he wears across his torso. The bandolier, in case you're curious, actually just plugs into place. There's one peg, I should say, that's already freed itself, but it basically just attaches by these two pegs plugged into place. I've already done this a couple of times, but it seems like the peg just continues to pop out. But at least one of them is doing enough of the job on their own that I don't feel like the bandolier is going to fall off on me. You will want to be careful, of course, moving the figure when it comes to the torso articulation, because if you are putting pressure against this, you could inadvertently free that peg, and before you know it, the bandolier is falling right off. As for the rest of his outfit, he's got his jeans, nicely tailored jeans with some stitch lines done for the pockets in the front area. This is all Velcro, by the way, so you could open this up and remove the pants, I suppose, if you wanted to. I don't really know why I would want to. And we get a little bit further down. Nice bleached jeans, I also might say, with stitched in pockets located here on the back. And lastly, and certainly not leastly, he does also have these sculpted in shoes, which again are good. You can see here, though, one thing I was pleasantly surprised to see with Nada is that when it came to his articulation, he did have an ankle pivot. So they're using the new retro cloth bodies when it comes to these releases, and that makes me extremely happy. I can certainly understand maybe for lesser known characters, even though I wouldn't necessarily put Nada really high on the more known characters, But I can understand maybe lesser known characters, they're still using maybe the original retro cloth bodies. But I'm glad to see when it comes to characters like this, we're getting fully articulated figures the really way that they should be, and especially when it comes to the ankle pivot on these figures as well. I suppose it worked out well in the end that actor Roderick George Toombs, or as many of you affectionately know him as Rowdy Roddy Piper, would appear in the John Carpenter classic horror film They Live. If not for that, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We wouldn't be having a look at the retro cloth John Nada figure, because NECA Toys doesn't really do wrestling figures. But until that time comes that we have ourselves a retro cloth Rowdy Roddy Piper, the next best thing we have is John Nada here, which I think does a service to, unfortunately, the long deceased Roderick George Toombs. You will be missed, Roddy Piper. You were one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. But I have to say, this is a true tribute to you, sir. I think NECA Toys did a bang-up job on the likeness on 2 different head sculpts, not just the one. You get 2 of them, one with the glasses, one without the glasses. I started the review with the glasses, wrapping up, closing up shop with the glasses off, sans the glasses. Both the head sculpts are really good. The tailoring on the outfit, both in his plaid shirt and the bleached jeans that he sports, are also equally good. The only thing, unfortunately, I had a bit of a stumbling point with this particular release was the fact he had some difficulty holding both his guns. Whether he's holding the pistol or he's holding the shotgun, or maybe he's holding both, the hands that they use, the harder plastic, is really hard and difficult to actually get the hands to hold the guns. I've already submerged the hands a couple of times in hot water. I may actually have to do it again. And unfortunately, me just trying to put the hands to hold the guns, or put the guns into the hands, has resulted in paint chipping coming off the paint coming off the hands. That's a bit sad. At the end of the day, I'm just going to be displaying here Nada with probably a shotgun. I think the shotgun is my preferred choice. And I'll probably end up displaying him with the glasses. Nice touch, by the way, on their part, that they actually had glasses that you could lift and lower. They weren't glued to his face. Short of the fact that, again, the harder plastic that they used for the hands, this is a home run hit from NECA's end. If you're certainly a big fan of They Live, or you're a big fan of Roddy Piper, I definitely think this is a figure you may want to be picking up and adding to your collection. A big thank you as well to the folks over at NECA Toys that provided the sample of John Nada that we had to look at in this review. For your video question for today, what's your favorite John Carpenter movie? I know he's done a lot, so it's really hard to probably pinpoint. What's your top 3 John Carpenter movies? Always like reading your comments down below. If you're also new to this channel and you're liking all the content you're seeing, just be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Be sure to hit that bell notification. And be sure to come back to this channel Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, you heard me right. 2 videos a day, Jack. Can I call you Jack? 2 videos a day, Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lots of new NECA reviews lined up and coming your way as always. So keep your peepers peeled to this channel and make sure you come back on a regular basis. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.